South Africa finds itself battling with higher stages of rolling blackouts. Energy experts have confirmed that Eskom quietly slipped the country into stage 7 of power cuts in the last few days. Now, this after the power utility had reported to have shed over 7,000 megawatts off the grid. Unions have been calling for former CEO Andre de Ruyter's head since the beginning of stage 6 power cuts, which subsequently became a norm under his leadership. But now that de Ruyter is gone, why do we still find ourselves here? So to help unpack this, energy expert Lilley joins me now to take this conversation forward. And Roger, thank you for your time this morning. Good morning to you. So is it confirmed indeed that Eskom quietly, without making any announcement, without preparing South Africans, just slipped stage 7 into our reality this past couple of days?
Yes, good morning. Thank you for inviting me to your show. Look, I don't think we should say that Eskom did this quietly behind the scenes as some kind of deliberate action. What happened was that they lost the generation plant at Koeberg. Now, Koeberg, half of Koeberg is already out of action because they are busy replacing the steam generating equipment, so that's going to be out of action for most of this year. But now the other half of Koeberg also tripped, which means that the entire 1,800 megawatts of power that should come from Koeberg is now not available, which of course plunged the situation into this particular level of load shedding. I think what we need to understand is that Eskom's capacity is really on the brink. We really have a situation now where the amount of electricity that Eskom generates is far below what South Africa really needs. And we can see this by the ever-increasing stages of load shedding. The higher the stage of load shedding number, the bigger that number becomes, means that much more electricity is unavailable from Eskom. And there are solutions to this, but the government seems unwilling for one reason or another, which I think it really should explain to the public, why it doesn't take these particular actions. There are mitigations that it could implement, and it has not done so. One needs to know why.
But Roger, what are those immediate solutions in your view that are available immediately?
Well, the public sector has for many years now offered to assist, and the assistance has been grudgingly accepted. We have far less private generated power on the grid than we could have had should the resistance that was imposed both by government and by Eskom management over years not happen. So if we hadn't had this situation where Eskom had said that for one reason or another the IPPs are not suitable, either they were too expensive or there was capacity problems on their transmission grid, there's always some reason why we can't have IPP power. But the reality is that is untrue. Had action been taken then, we could have had a situation where we would have had a far higher amount of IPP power on the grid today. Electricity may indeed have been more expensive than it is now. But what is it costing the country to have all this load shedding? A lot more. 20, 30, 40, maybe 50 times more. So there's no excuse. There's absolutely no credence in the argument that IPP power is too expensive. Anybody that says that is misleading the public.
How would you rate Eskom as well, Roger, when it comes to their managing the grid, especially if we have to take safety margins into account? How would you rate Eskom as well as, suppose, the electricity minister?
Well, I'm not sure what the purpose of appointing the energy minister was. I'm not sure if the president really believed in his heart that this is going to solve anything. All he's doing is telling the public exactly what de Ruyter told the public. He went to the power stations. He told us that the problem is a technical one, which it is a technical one. But why is the technical problem there? The technical problem is there because of incompetence, because of corruption, because of mismanagement. Eskom is now very badly run. And that's the problem. It's no good blaming the CEO and the board. as good or bad they may be, that's not the issue. The issue is what's going on in the power stations. No one's getting to the bottom of that.
And what do you think South Africans should expect for the next couple of months, especially as we head into winter? Because I think that's where especially most of, the communication lies in Eskom to say, manage our expectations. Are we in for a very dark year? But how would you, of course, manage those expectations from South Africans?
Tumelo, the Minister of Electricity made it clear just the other day that we're in for a dark winter. Unfortunately, Eskom's additional power generating capacity has not coming on stream. The additional power that should have been procured by the Energy Minister has not happened, so that procurement doesn't exist. We don't have the electricity we're going to need. Our demand will continue to increase in the colder weather, but we don't have the power to match it. So we're going to have deeper and deeper electricity cuts. There's nothing we can do about that. In terms of in terms of the situation at government level, I still believe that the government owes the country an explanation because it looks to us as the public that it suits the ANC to have load shedding. We've had it for 16 years now, and nothing has been done to address it. Question is, why not?
Yeah, why not is the question. You also mentioned earlier on that the appointment of the electricity minister wasn't necessary, big into question the motive behind the president's decision. But if you would appoint a CEO for Eskom, Roger, anyone come to mind? Any individual that you think could be, given this title? I mean, Underrater is gone. We still find ourselves here. Before leaving, he did say we should prepare ourselves for, like you said, a very dark year. But who would you put your name in the hat?
Well, I would be very cautious before mentioning a name on public television like that. But I would say this, that if it were up to me, I would look across the world and find someone who has done this before. But then at the same time, whoever takes that appointment needs a written commitment from government that all this undermining and telling of lies stops, and stops once and for all, and that the government will take deliberate and strong action against those who actively act against South Africa's electricity infrastructure. I'm thinking now of these pylons that fell over in Pretoria. They didn't just fall over. There's much more behind this, and as the Rater said, there are powers in authority that know what's going on, that may even be complicit in what's going on. This needs to come to light. This needs to come out to the public's view, and it needs to do so now. It's about time that the government comes clean.